Good evening. Sydney Swans superstar Isaac Heeney is now at the centre of a police investigation into an alleged sex assault at the team's Melbourne hotel.
7 News can reveal Heeney was brought in for questioning by detectives and the AFL is poised to punish the players involved.
At the Swans HQ, not the defence, players wanted to train for today, running the media gauntlet.
Sorry, mate, I don't think we can comment.
No, I can't really comment on it at the moment, guys.
Sorry, no comment.
A blitz of questions over 4 players who didn't show.
It's an investigation ongoing and we don't have the facts yet, so I can't really comment.
Isaac Heeney, Chad Warner, Riley Bice and James Jordan helping police with inquiries over allegations of a sexual assault at the Pullman Hotel, Melbourne. Victoria Police confirming the Sex Crime Squad is leading the investigation, but repeating no one has been arrested or formally interviewed.
The AFL is reaching the conclusion, as is Sydney, that it's going to be very difficult for any of these players to take the field until the police investigation has concluded.
From the coach.
Obviously extremely disappointed. We're working our way through everything with the AFL and the relevant parties.
With security video emerging, appearing to show him also out past midnight on Sunday, as critics question why any of them were out late so close to finals.
You think it would mean a bit more to Isaac Heeney than to do that on the eve of a final series and put your teammates and your team in jeopardy.
Reports the AFL will soon charge any players involved with bringing the game into disrepute, suspending them for multiple matches.
I'm glad it's not us. I wouldn't like to be in their shoes.
The club saying it's unable to shed any light on the severity of the allegations against the players, calling that situation extremely frustrating. But they have confirmed each of the players named has now sought individual representation before being interviewed off-site by club officials. Second on the ladder, Swans, without marquee players Heeney and Warner, Jordan and Bice, can all but write off their finals hopes. From legend Nick Riewoldt,
It's done. It's done.
While from women's advocates,
they're talking about, the impact for the players, the impact for the clubs. There's actually a traumatised victim at the centre of this.
The players expected to be stood down tomorrow. Chris Reason, 7 News.
Well, let's go live to Mitch Cleary. Mitch, a suspension is looming.
Well, multiple stakeholders I've spoken to today are expecting that Swan statement to come in the next 24 hours. It would see at least those 4 players ruled ineligible for this weekend's game against North Melbourne at the SCG, with Nick Blakey's spot also in question. Now, that investigation being run by the Swans is separate to the investigation being undertaken by Victoria Police that tonight remains ongoing. And in the last few minutes, AFL CEO Andrew Dillon has released a statement highlighting the seriousness of sexual assault allegations and also insisting that the prospect of players missing a game should not be the forefront, rather the alleged victims' thoughts on this Tuesday evening. Will?
All right, thank you, Mitch. A quadriplegic man kicked off a Virgin flight to Adelaide has filed an official complaint with the Human Rights Commission. He says he was humiliated in front of other passengers after being told there was nowhere to store his wheelchair motor.
Travelling for Shane Hahoric isn't always easy, but he says yesterday's flight wasn't just hard, but heartbreaking.
Virgin Australia do not care about people with disabilities. We're a burden to the airline.
The 41-year-old was ready for takeoff from Sydney when cabin crew took issue with the storage of his wheelchair's battery motor in the overhead locker.
Can you have a look here? Can you see a space to put a bag? I can't put my bag there.
I was so angry and I was like, how is this happening?
The airline was enforcing a rule change Shane wasn't aware of.
We can't delay this flight anymore.
After a heated back and forth,
I flew 4 flights in the last week. I've had absolutely no issues with Virgin Australia.
The disability advocate was forced off the plane before takeoff.
You know how that makes people feel?
Before waiting 5 hours to catch a later flight.
I was so upset. I was humiliated.
Virgin has issued a statement saying it will review the circumstances and that it remains committed to providing an accessible and inclusive travel experience, and has reached out to Mr Hahoric to find out more about his experience.
And the matter won't end here. Shane says he has already lodged a complaint with the Human Rights Commission, and if he has no luck there, he'll be taking the airline to federal court.
How is this happening? We're the year 2026. Why is it that Virgin Australia are treating passengers with disabilities like absolute garbage?
Hannah Ford, 7 News.
Police have arrested a driver over a shocking crash at Hallett Cove earlier this month, which claimed the life of Monica Ruxton. The 21-year-old was a passenger in an SUV that was torn in two on Lonsdale Road after being hit by a Subaru. The driver of the WRX, a 27-year-old man from Aberfoyle Park, has been charged with causing death by dangerous driving. He'll face court next month.
A tobacco shop has been badly damaged in a suspected firebombing at Para Hills. Emergency crews were called to Wilkinson Road just before 3 this morning. Quick work by firefighters prevented it from spreading to neighbouring businesses, but they were still impacted by smoke and lost power, meaning they couldn't open today.
It could have been so much worse, could have gone through the whole shopping centre, and yeah, I could have been coming to work today with a blown up shop.
Police are appealing for any witnesses to come forward.
A Banksia Park family's counting the cost after a giant gum tree smashed onto their house just metres from where they were sleeping. It also impacted their neighbours, and the local council had been warned it was a ticking time bomb.
A massive gum lies across the roofs of 2 Banksia Park homes after it came crashing down early this morning.
It was like a train crashing into something.
CCTV captures the moment the tree toppled, waking the whole neighbourhood.
My kids woke up, we all woke up instantly.
Residents raced out of their homes.
I knew straight away that it was the tree.
SES and fire crews were called just before 2:30, faced with the mammoth job of clearing the debris. Council workers returning this morning.
There's a fair bit of structural damage now, a lot of the trees being cut up by the CFS and the MFS.
Falling trees now a growing concern in the area. Neighbour Jenny Day says it took countless complaints to the local council before one outside her home was finally removed.
We had branches falling down a couple of years in a row. They need to have people going around checking a lot more.
Jared says he too has been battling the council for years about the unstable gum, with his complaints falling on deaf ears. He says it's just lucky nobody was killed.
We were incredibly lucky because that's our bedroom there. We were sleeping, so incredibly lucky that it fell where it did.
They would have been stuck, possibly not here anymore.
The City of Tea Tree Gully says it's taking the matter seriously, with a full review now underway. It says given the recent weather events, residents should be vigilant around trees.
I just think they need to really assess the trees and really take it seriously.
Fortunately, both homes are insured. Madison Stanley, 7 News.
A young driver trying to avoid hitting a kangaroo has plunged his luxury car into a creek in the Adelaide Hills. The 21-year-old behind the wheel told police he braked when he saw the roo ahead of him on Montacute Road last night. His Mercedes skidded off the slippery road and careered down the embankment. He wasn't injured.
A Supreme Court trial into a 2 decades-old northern suburbs murder has been sensationally aborted. 33-year-old Kim Long Rim was accused of the stabbing death of 21-year-old Tia Keeve at an 18th birthday party at Parafield Gardens in 2007. This afternoon, a judge was forced to abandon proceedings through no fault of the jury. The reason for the mistrial remains a secret.
Cigarettes could become a whole lot cheaper if One Nation gets its way. Pauline Hanson's proposing a cut to the tobacco excise to stop the black market trade, but the government's not having any of it, focusing instead on gambling reform.
The flu achieves something the major parties can't, silencing Pauline Hanson.
Sorry, I'm just my voice.
I've got a voice.
No, I know, sorry.
Leaving Barnaby Joyce to give voice to the smoke signals.
Don't smoke. Don't smoke. Here you go, do not smoke.
But says those who do shouldn't be paying $38 tax on every pack, a price signal driving down smoking numbers, but also driving cheaper illegal imports to 80% of all sales, igniting turf war fire bombings and burning an $11 billion hole in smoking taxes.
We're not getting money to Treasury, we're giving money to the mafia.
Health advocates warn slashing excise will fire up smoking rates. With 66 Australians already dying of smoking-related illnesses every day, Treasurer Jim Chalmers stubbing out any excise cut.